So here's a quick little video on how I use my digital audio workstation and some of the devices that I use alongside of that. The Focusrite Scarlett 212 that I mentioned earlier, as well as the microphones and so forth. So we'll start here with Logic. You see this is my Logic digital audio workstation, and I'll start a new project here. And so you can see typically you've got multiple different ways that you can start the project. I typically start it with just a regular audio track with a mic or a line, sometimes with a guitar or bass, depending on what I'm doing. So we'll just go with the mic that I'm actually connected to. You can see down here input 1 of my Scarlett 212, which I mentioned earlier. And we'll just start basically like that. The output is going to be a stereo output coming out of the Scarlett, which is connected to my KRK Rocket 5 studio monitor. So we'll see what that sounds like in just a second. So we'll create that right now, and you'll see that's the channel. As I said, I'm plugged into the first channel of the Focusrite Scarlett, and you can see audio signal coming out. I set the gain to a good level, so we're not peaking, we're not distorting, and there we are. Okay, so there's so many things that you can do to do a recording. Most recently, a project that I did recently, I went into the community access media station in North Andover, which is a sort of a local video production TV channel in North Andover. And we did a video with my band, and my mixer has the capability of saving each channel that I mic, each channel that I have for the band as a WAV file. So if I mic'd up the drums, which I did, or if I mic up guitar amps, vocals, things like that, all of that gets recorded in the mixer, and then I can download those files and then add them to my digital audio workstation and play around with them. So I did do that. I'll show you sort of how the process started. I won't go through the whole process, but here are the files here. You can see I've got multiple channels. I've got lead vocal, so I'll drag and drop that into this new project. You can see it right there. I'll take, there was some acoustic guitar, but we'll just go out to the electric guitar, which is my mic'd up amp, which is a Fender Deluxe Reverb. And then we'll just take my other guitar player's guitar amp sound, and we'll take a bass player, just his bass, and then we'll take the drums. We got a bass drum that was mic'd up, a snare that was mic'd up, and an overhead microphone. And then last but not least, we've got keys. I'll drag those in. So typically what I would do, and what I did do, is I started by doing a rough mix. And I'll just do that real quickly. You can see the actual audio visually. And I just took this, we'll just take this over here so we can just focus in on the audio of all these different instruments and voices. And we'll start with just doing a basic rough mix. And if you want, you can actually use the mixer. So it's a show mixer under view. Show the mixer. So that'll pop up right here. So it's a more user-friendly way of doing some mixing versus on the channels themselves. And you can kind of adjust the height there. So let's just hit play, and you can hear all of these different WAV files, and we'll do a quick little mix. Yeah, you can hear that. It's very loud. We'll bring down the guitars. So you can see that Those guitars are loud. We brought that down a little bit. That's the lead vocal. We'll bring that down a little bit. Now what we don't want is peaking like we're seeing right here. So if I hit play again, let's see if that starts to peak again, then I still have to bring a few things down. That goes into the yellow. You can see that here. So I might want to bring the bass down just a tad. Here are the drums right here. Bass, drums, snare, overhead, and then here are the keys. And then if I want to hear each of these individually, there's the keyboard right there. You can hear that. So that could be a little bit louder there. So there's where I would start. Just get a basic mix, and then I would go individually to each channel. So just to keep it simple, let's say we're going to focus in on the lead vocal. So I would just take the lead vocal, hit play, and I'd say, okay, the first thing I always want to add to this in terms of processing is EQ. So let me bring this vocal line down just a tad. So I would go over here, and what's nice about Logic, you've got all these plugins, and some of them have these templates. So let's say I do this a lot. I'll just go in here. I want a male vocal kind of EQ, and you can play with these, but for now you can see it's a really quick and easy way to EQ a vocal, and you can play all of these right there. So that's one thing you can do. Now the next thing you can do on that channel is you can say, I'm going to put a little bit of reverb on there. So I like to use this one. It's called Space Designer Mono, and there's one that I really like here that is a plate reverb for voices. Where is it? Oh, it might be in the large spaces. Yeah, I think it's here. So I'll call it a vocal plate. And now, if we hit that again, and of course you can hear the bleed through the microphone. That's a pretty wet signal there. So I will bring that down a little bit. Another thing you can do is create a bus. And that's where you can use the same effect on multiple vocals. So you can see just really quickly, it took, a couple of minutes to start with the vocal and start to do some EQing, some reverb. You probably want to add some compression. Again, the compression is super easy. You go to a mono compressor, and a lot of these have a very simple, so you can use a compression that's like a classic rock compression, and you add that, and you can play around with all these different thresholds, the attack, the release, and so forth. You can play with that a little bit and see what you get from that. So you can see now that vocal sounds a lot better. This also has pitch correct for the pitchiness that might be present in this vocal. And now all right, so now that's the vocal. And then the next thing, of course, because I'm the guitar player, I'm going to go into this electric guitar and see what that sounds like. Oop, little mistake there. Let's get this one. So that's the thing about live recording. You might bring that section down in the mix. Yeah, so that actually sounds pretty good. We use the actual sound coming out of the amp, and there's the two guitars together. So what I could do here is I might turn one left and one right for the pan. Now you can see that sounds nice and full. Now again, you're hearing this through this microphone coming from the Focusrite. I don't have the app that would get the actual sound coming out of the Logic. There's a separate app that you need to get audio coming out of Logic. So you're just kind of hearing what I'm hearing out of my monitor speakers right here. Okay. So that's kind of it in terms of how I would start. In the next video, I will actually share the video that has been used as sort of a promo for the band, and it will show all of what I'm doing. That took many, many hours for 6 or 7 different songs. And then we had to sync it up with the video, and then it's a very long project. But hopefully that kind of shows sort of the way I use Logic as a guitar player and a band leader to create recordings. Okay, that helps.